All right, so continuing our discussion on using graphs to relate two quantities, let's have our next examples here. And so let's say we have a band allowed fans to download its new video from a website. The table here, as you can see, shows the total number of downloads after 1, 2, 3, and 4 days. So which graph could represent the data shown on the table? Okay, so if you're going to take a look at this table, you can see we have the number of days and the equivalent downloads for the videos for each of those the videos that were downloaded by the fans. So day 1 there were 346, and then 1011, and then 3455, and then 10,426. So based on the number of downloads, how can you visualize this table using a graph? And as you can see, we have 4 choices here. Okay, so how would you best know which graph would represent your data set? Well, first thing you have to observe what is the trend, what is the pattern that you can observe from our download from our table. So as you can see, from day 1 to day 4, is it increasing or decreasing? Well, definitely, as you can see, from 346 it became 10,426, so definitely it increased. Okay, and so we can already remove the option that is showing a decrease, and so letter D is already out of the way. Okay, now what kind of increase do we observe here? Now, if you're going to take a look with letter A, there is a steady increase in there. Okay, like a specific amount is being added to the values, and so there is that steady increase. Okay, letter B, on the other hand, if you're going to take a look, it is also increasing, but as you can see, the increase is not consistent. It becomes steeper. Okay, you are adding more and more every single time, and so the increase is going fast, super quickly. Okay, letter C, it's also increasing, but there is that point here wherein you can see, okay, it has a certain point wherein the increase becomes slower now until it's consistent. Okay, so if you're going to analyze how can you describe the increase on our values here on our table? So definitely the increase is not a steady increase. Okay, from 346, if you are going to take a look, oops, I'm sorry, I lost my cursor. From 346 it became 1011, so that's around 700-ish, an increase of 700 more or less. Okay, and then from 1011 it became 3455. Can you say that it is also an increase of 700-ish? Definitely not. It's going to be an increase of 2,000 something. Okay, and so there is no consistent increase, and so between these 3 other choices, we can say that B is going to be our answer. Okay, there is a bigger increase every time. All right, let's move on to our next example. Now, why don't you try this next example on your own? Pretty much the same. This time we're talking about sunscreen and the number of uses. Okay, so the number of uses and the amount of sunscreen every time you use it. Okay, so why don't you try this next question and see which graph between A, B, and C would represent best our scenario here. Go ahead. So if you're going to analyze and observe the pattern, you will see that every time you use the sunscreen, you are like lessening the amount of sunscreen by you're subtracting 0.2 ounces. So it's a steady drop. Now, as you can see, we have 2 visualization here with a steady drop. It's letter A or letter C. But as you know, after the 3rd use, the question is, do you still have sunscreen left in your tube? Most likely than not, yes. And so I don't think it will be reasonable that after the 3rd use, you have nothing more left in your sunscreen. So our best option, our best representation of the graph would be letter C. Okay, so this is our best option.